Hey everyone, this is Summertime Ken here with a in-depth video about the difference between baitcasters in terms of rods and reels, and spinner reels, which I've got one here behind me. I'll show you here in just a second. This is a baitcaster. This is a Shimano Bantam I've had for a while. Just absolutely love it for anytime I'm using anything that I need to get a little extra feel on, work a bait a little bit differently. I like using the baitcaster for that. I'm going to go over some pros about baitcasters, some cons about them. Same with the spinning reel. Main thing to remember, if you're starting out fishing, the baitcaster is probably not a good one to start out with in general. These tend to be for more advanced fishing techniques. And I'll go over kind of what those techniques are, why this is better for it here in just a second. But this has different settings you can have for it. It's just a little bit more advanced, whereas the spinner, you can pretty much just take that right out of the box and go out there and fish with it, no problem. These are known for having backlashes if the settings are not right. So again, this is more for advanced fishing. The advantages, though, of this, really, once you get the hang of it, baitcasters are designed to fit kind of in the palm of your hand right here. That allows for much better movement of kind of manipulating different lures and baits underwater, which can be very, very helpful, in catching big bass. Another thing too about this is you see everything on baitcasters is above the rod. It comes off the spool here, just directly from the actual reel here, as opposed to on the spinners, it comes off kind of as it's spooled on there. So that there are a couple different things to look at there. Because this comes just directly straight off the reel here, the spools, or the eyelets here on the rods for baitcasters are much, much smaller. Therefore, the rod is actually a whole lot shorter. It doesn't have to be a longer rod. The reason spinning rods are longer is those eyelets, and I'll show you in a second, are quite big when it comes right off, because it's coming off in a spooling action. That actually means, the eyelets have to be really large here, going all the way down to being extremely short or extremely small at the tip. And in order for that line to carry all that distance, the rods are generally much, much longer. So it makes it more difficult to get a spinning rod. If you're fishing in tight areas, trying to kind of flip a lure, flip a jig, or something like that. Baitcasters. The rods that come with baitcasters are much, much better for that. Much shorter rods, much stiffer rods, and for that reason, these baitcasters can actually hold much heavier lures and baits. Your heavier, bigger spinner baits, jigs, things like that. Usually, you're going to want to use with a baitcaster here. So that's a little bit about some advantages, some disadvantages. One thing, as far as how to use it. You just have your spool release here, click down on it, and depending on what you have all your drag and all that set at, your line's going to go out, and then just reel the handle in to reel it in. Now, got a couple settings on here. Number one is going to be your drag, which is going to be this little kind of a star looking thing, and it's pretty common. That's what it's going to look like on most baitcasters here. Set it looser or tighter there, and then you have going to be kind of hard to see, but this little black knob back here is your spool adjustment. And what that's going to do is, you've probably heard of these things backlashing quite a bit when you cast them out there, but you can actually adjust that here. Make this a little bit tighter on your spool adjustment, and that's going to help to prevent backlashes in the future on these. So it's kind of like acts as brakes for the line when the line's going out, so it doesn't continue going in backlash. So that's kind of a a little tutorial there about what you need to know about a baitcaster, why to fish it, where to fish it. So coming up next, I'll be showing you my spin reel and what I like about that, what I dislike about it. Alright, so here I've got my baitcaster and my spinner side by side here, and as I was saying, you can see as far as the rod tip on them, there's my baitcaster ending there. This one goes quite a bit longer there on the spinner, and you can see if I zoom in here real close, this is the first spool, or the first eyelet here coming off the spool. See how much smaller that is as compared to the first one there, the spinner. Alright everybody, so this here is my spinner that I like to use. Got several of them, but this is one of the first ones I bought. It's just a Shakespeare reel on an ugly stick rod. Combo was only about probably $50 at Walmart, so very, very good rod and reel combo. Never had any problems with it. These are real simple. Great to start out with if you're a beginner in fishing. Much less complicated than a baitcaster. Doesn't really have the opportunity to backlash on you or anything like that. You just flip this here. Your line goes out. Look at there, and you can see the spooling action on it. The line actually comes off, as I was saying, in that kind of motion, which is why, again, the rod tip has to be, the rods are generally much longer, so that the eyelets can kind of go from large all the way down and kind of feed that line to where when it comes off the tip when you're casting, it's not doing this when it's coming off the tip, it's more streamlined. So, you know, that's a disadvantage of it. Honestly though, it's really, unless you're fishing in really tight areas, creeks and things that, you know, you're worried about maneuverability or anything like that, this will generally work fine for your most basic styles of fishing. I fish out of a kayak, so I like to troll a lot. And I use these for trolling, primarily my spinners for trolling, just because the drag setting on them actually has a click on there. My baitcaster I showed actually doesn't have that, but and some you will find that do, some don't. But the drag, as I showed on the baitcaster there, showed where that was a little bit earlier. On this one here, you can hear it there, you just set it's looser. So that line will just come right off like that, you set it tighter. So I'm going to troll. Now what I like about this, it does have that clicking on there for the drag. That way when you're trolling and you're paddling in a kayak, it's very easy to notice when something hits that lure, or you might get snagged. But when that line starts going out, you're going to hear that, stop paddling, turn around, grab the rod, and set the hook on it. So again, this for very, very basic fishing. The baitcaster for more advanced techniques, to really feel that lure or that bait that you're working in the water and be able to manipulate that a little bit better. So I hope this video has helped, and thanks for watching.